Hello fellow Omissers, this is Paul KA5PMV, and we're going to talk about the Omiss Awards spreadsheet templates. I joined Omiss back in January or February of 2021, and if you've been to the awards page and you look at you'll notice that there are a ton of awards, and I was like, how do you keep track of all this? So luckily I found out that Mike Maddox had actually written a Excel spreadsheet to keep track of these awards. There was a YouTube video that showed how to use that spreadsheet. The instructions basically had you go to the rosters page, and you had to download the member roster, the military roster, the first responder roster, all these different rosters. We pretty much get new members almost on a daily basis, so those files will get out of date pretty quickly. So I was looking at the spreadsheet, and I knew that Excel had the ability to go and get external data from websites and so forth, so I started working on it and adding those features in. Now those features do require you to have a fairly recent version of Excel. Any Office 365 version should be fine. 2010 is too old, but I'm not sure exactly where the line is and I don't really keep track of all the versions. I think there was a 2016 version, a 2013 version. 2013 may be too old as well, so it may need 2016 or newer. But I found out Mike had actually written a OpenOffice version as well, so that's always an option if someone didn't have Office 365 and didn't want to pay for the subscription and all that. You can always download OpenOffice or LibreOffice, and those are free to download and use. So I'll provide a link down below, but I've got the spreadsheets hosted on my GitHub account, and it's got the Excel and the OpenOffice versions. These spreadsheets do work across PC and Mac. So if you want to get the OpenOffice version, you just click on the OpenOffice folder. There's two files here. One is the instruction sheet. It's kind of like a Word document, and then this is the template itself. So you click on the file, and over here there's a download button, and you can download that and save that wherever you like. And I'll go grab the Excel version, and there's the document for instructions, and then here's the Excel template. I'll download that one as well. Okay. And on the Mac, same thing. Download the OpenOffice version. The Excel version. Okay. You might also note that some people have had trouble downloading the templates on their Windows machines due to some of the antivirus programs. So some of them actually block the download, or they may strip out the script or whatever that actually makes it work. Okay, so let's go open the files. Now these files were written to be used with Netlogger. So once you're on a net and you put in the signal report in there and then log that, it'll log all those contacts down below. So the first time you download the spreadsheet, you're going to have to import all of your contacts. So you want to go to File, Export to ADIF file, and then say All Contacts. And you'll save that off, and then you can use that file to import. I've actually got my file saved off already. Each day as you participate in the nets, usually what I do is at the end of the day, I'll just go and highlight, let's say these three were the contacts for the day. I know they got 11th, but let's just say these were my contacts for today. Then you would go File, Export to ADIF file, and then say Selected Contacts, and then save that off with today's date or something, and then you can import those. And I'll show you how to do that, because the spreadsheet actually just appends new contacts, so you want to make sure you don't import the same file twice, or you'll get duplicate contacts. Okay, so let's open up the files. We'll open the Excel one first here on the Mac. Now you'll get the prompt, do you want to enable macros or disable them? You want to enable them, otherwise the spreadsheet will not work. You may also get this notification here, says enable content. What this is doing is when I hit that, that's when it's actually going out, and you'll probably see down here at the bottom, you may see some activity. It may hang up for just a little bit, but it's actually going out to the Omiss website and downloading the rosters at that point. Now, if you have a computer that's running 24/7 and you just leave the spreadsheet open, after 24 hours, it'll whenever you go to read your ADI file, that it'll actually go and refresh those rosters to make sure they're up to date. Okay. The first thing you want to do is you'll put your call sign in there, and also your Omiss number. Now, then you click on Select ADI File. The Mac is going to ask you, do you want to allow access? So you'll say yes, and grant access. And let's see. Desktop, Omiss. Okay, so this is an ADI file that I exported out of Netlogger on December 30, at the last day of December, and so it's got all the contacts for the year in this file. So if you download the spreadsheet new, or let's say there's an update to the spreadsheet and you download that and you need to reload all of your contacts again, then that would be how you would do that. Now if you go a long time and you're saving a bunch of little daily files like this, but then let's say there's an update to the spreadsheet, you want to go and export all of your contacts into one file, that makes it a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to select this one here and then click Read ADI File. Now you'll actually see it kind of flip pages here a little bit, and then it'll go and populate this the Omiss Contacts tab with all of those contacts. Now, and then on the daily stuff, each day. Okay, I've got one here from the first. And you have to hit read. And so these will load in really quick once you do that. If you have a lot of contacts, the initial load may take a minute or two. And then hit read on each one of those. And see, that was number 2, 4. Now, if you did happen to import, say, the master contacts twice accidentally, I may put a button in here in the future to clear all those out, but in the meantime, if you come over here and just click on this top left corner where it highlights everything, hold your shift key down and then click on the first row. Whoops, maybe it's the control key. So on the Mac it's the command key. See how the first row turned white and then all the rest of them are still gray? If you do that and then hit delete, or you can right click, whoops, I just messed up. Click the whole thing, control click the first line, right click and say clear contents, and that'll clear all the contacts out, and you can go back and reload your contacts in again. Okay, now that's the Excel version. So let's go open up the OpenOffice version. OpenOffice will have a different set of prompts. So update all links, you want to say yes to that. That's for refreshing the rosters in the background. You want to say enable macros, and then it'll once again ask if you want to refresh those files. I don't know why it prompts twice, but you say yes to that, and then once you say yes to this one, you may actually see that it's kind of unresponsive for a little bit as it goes out and fetches those rosters from the Omiss website. You can't really do anything else until that's done. While that's doing that, I'm going to flip over back to PC. I download the Excel version. Oops. Oh, it looks like I've already downloaded those from earlier. So let me minimize that. Okay, so let's see what the PC does when you open it up. Okay, you may see a button that says enable editing, and you can't actually do anything unless you click that. So the select ADI file won't work if you don't. And then enable content, that's for the external rosters to be refreshed. Okay, select ADI file. Desktop. Okay, read. Okay, so this right now, when we see it flipping like this and it's just kind of blinking a little bit, that's actually also refreshing the rosters in the background. I put a field in there that keeps track of the date when it was last refreshed, and if it's been over 24 hours or if it hasn't been done at all, then it'll actually force refresh those rosters. So while it's doing that, I'll go open the OpenOffice version. Yep, OpenOffice Calc. Yes. Now, looks like my buttons disappeared here, so I'm going to go ahead and save this file. I'm going to exit out of it and reopen it. Okay, got my buttons back. Okay, so I selected let's see, the contact page is blank, and it looks like it's already set up to read. I'll go ahead and select it again just to make sure. Desktop, Omiss. Okay, read ADI file. That'll load in. Okay, so this is OpenOffice, and one of the things, the security settings, you may have to adjust in order to run scripts. So if you get this warning about this may contain virus and stuff, it's just saying that it's disabling the scripts until you go in and change your security settings. So we'll say OK to this, and yes, we want to update those links to refresh the rosters. And while that's doing that, I'll go back over here. This is done. Oops. Now see right there, I just loaded the same contacts twice. So I know I'm going to have duplicates. So I'm going to do this, hold the control key down. Oop. Clear contents. Oops. Okay, so that didn't work. Why did it do that? Okay, this is acting weird. Select all. Control. Click that. Should unselect that, but it's not doing it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on row 1. I'm going to do copy. Then I'm going to do all this and say clear contents and then just paste that back. Okay, of course it's not going to paste. Okay. I'm not sure what Excel is doing here. It's supposed to be control click and that's supposed to unselect that row. That's the way it works on my other PC, so I'm not sure why it's doing it on this one. I'll just bring up clear contents. There, got that back. So basically I just copied that first row, dropped it into a text editor, and then pasted it back once I cleared all the contents. Alright, so I'm going to go back and select my master file, have it read again. Okay. Select ADF file. Okay, so you notice that it did not prompt me. When I click this button, it's not doing anything. So this is where you got to go into Tools, Options, Macro Security. This is where you want to go. And so the default is high. You can go medium or low. Depends on how comfortable you are with this. If you do low, it won't ask you those prompts about enabling macros when it starts up. Or you can set it to medium and it'll still prompt you, but at least it'll work. Now you may have to restart. Yeah. So go ahead and save it and exit. And it takes a few seconds for it to save. So let's jump over here to Excel. Okay, so we've got the context all loaded back in. Alright, so let's go back and open up the OpenOffice version, and it'll ask about updating links. Now, the first time you run this on a particular day, you would say yes to this. Now, I've already said yes to this earlier, and I saved everything, so there's probably not been any new members added since I just ran it a little while ago. Most likely not. So I'm going to go ahead and say no, and it'll actually load a little faster. It won't load faster, but it won't. On the second prompt, it won't get busy where you can't use it for a little while. And so I'll say enable macros, and I'm going to say no to this because I've already refreshed those rosters. So they're good to go. So now if I click select ADF file, I get the file dialog. And now I can read the ADF file in. Okay, that's done. Okay, so all those are loaded in. Now the next thing we're going to do is, since we have all of our contacts loaded in, I have here, let's see, almost 700 contacts in just under a year. So go back to the config tab and I'll click the button that says run all awards. You get this little warning, say this may take a few minutes. Now if you have thousands and thousands of contacts, this could take a little while. I have made some improvements to the slow operations, so hopefully we'll just keep getting this faster and faster. But say if you have almost 9,000 contacts, it may take a couple hours for this to run. So you might keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and say yes to this. And then it's going to basically run through all of the awards, filling in all the sheets. So this one's really cool because it shows you, this is basically your 5x25. It shows you all of your contacts across the bands. Okay. Alright, so this is the worked all states one, and it's just filling in all these different ones. Now this is basically everything. This is 1x2 calls, 1x3 calls, and so forth. Okay, so the OpenOffice version is running. The Scrabble one's one that takes a bit of time. I have made some improvements on it though, so hopefully it won't be too bad. But if you have, like I say, almost 9,000 contacts, this particular award can take an hour and a half to run. Basically it goes out and builds, there's a whole words dictionary that it looks at every call and figures out what word can I spell out of the letters out of this call sign. And then there's points for longer words, so those all get calculated up. Let's see, on the Mac side, let's see, I've got all these loaded in. I don't know, awards. So what I've seemed to notice so far is usually OpenOffice on the PC runs slower than Excel, but on the Mac platform it seems to run a lot better. Sometimes you can zoom out on this Scrabble one. You can just watch the list keep growing.
US
military award. We got military members, firefighters, first responders, EMS, dispatchers, all kinds of different awards. This is the YL award. And Excel is done. Perfect attendance is a pretty tough one because you got to have 30 days in a row, I think, in order to get any entries on this sheet. Okay, so now if you start looking through here, you can see all the different awards that you might have. There's no sequence for 2024 yet. But let's say, well, let's just pick the simple one, our Worked All States awards. And there's the overall Worked All States. Let's see. And so you can see here on across all bands. So I've actually, it says 0 states needed left. So this one is complete. So usually what I do is I will come in here and like select all of this, copy it, and paste that into the email, and then fill out the awards application form, attach that form to the email, and then just paste this into the email. Now you could paste it into Word or something and attach that as well if you wanted to, but I found I could just copy this and paste it into the email and send it with the application. Send that off to the awards manager, and then he'll get back with you with your certificate. And you notice, I don't know if you can see this at this level, but when you enter your call sign and Omiss number on the first config file, that puts it across all of the sheets in the spreadsheet. So that way it's there whenever you need to copy and paste that for an award. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it, and I hope you guys enjoyed these spreadsheets. My goal is to make it easy to use and try to make it as fast as possible so you don't spend a lot of time waiting around for it. But it is pretty handy. And as you keep adding more contacts to your main contact list, you can either push that button to run all the scripts, or if you say you're only interested in the Worked All States, and you make more contacts, so like here on let's say I work a few more 1x2 calls and I get enough, and I want to refresh those. Let's say I work a few more 1x2 calls. I come up here on Excel. You have to go to the View menu right there, and there's a button that says View Macros. Now most of the awards macros starts off with this A underscore. That's mainly just so that they show up at the top of the list. But let's say you work some stations and you've worked 5 bands, and then you worked a 6th band with that station, and you might come in here and run that 5x25 award, and then it'll add those stations to that list. Now for the Worked All States, you'd scroll down here to STU. Right there's AWAS, so for all Worked All States. And then you just run that one script, and it would go and repopulate. It'll go look for any new contacts and put those in the spreadsheet. Okay, so 5 by 25. So here's the 5 by 25 sheet, and here's all the different nets that we have across all the bands, and here's all the users. So once you run this, it figures out which members you've contacted across the bands and sorts those by the number of bands you've worked. So for me, I have 2 stations that I've worked across 7 bands. So I'm only needing 10 meters between November 2 Kilo Echo Delta and K6 ODI. So gotta get some 10 meter contacts in there. For the OpenOffice version, okay, it's done. The way you would run an individual script in OpenOffice is you go to Tools, Macros, Run Macro, and I've also seen the first time you do this, you're going to get this little prompt that says OpenOffice requires Java runtime environment. Please install JRE and restart OpenOffice. We do not need the JRE, so just hit OK. And it may think about it for a little bit, but then you won't get this prompt again. At least not unless you go and download an updated version or something and start from scratch again. Okay, then the script dialog will come up. You'll see a few different menu items right here, but you'll want to look for the spreadsheet you have open, which is this one. Click on this little caret over here to open that up. Open this one up. Click on Module 1, and then you'll see the different awards here. So like for WAS, there's the Work All States award, and then you would just hit Run. And it should flip over to that tab and reload any new contacts. And that's an easy way you can run the individual awards without having to click on the Run All Awards and wait for that to finish. That way you can concentrate on the particular awards that you're working on at the time. So maybe you're working on statehood, you want to just run the statehood script after importing your new contacts. And with that, I think that is it. So hopefully everyone enjoys the spreadsheets, and I look forward to hearing from all of you on the nets. 73.